Araba Radio.
It's Monday, the 14th of April, 2025. Good morning to you and welcome back from a good weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. It's Monday and let's begin the conversation, for the rest of the week about talking about some stories that made to the front page of the national newspapers. And you give a chance to react to some of these stories as well too. This is the Headline News Review. I am Adeyemi.
I am Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us.
And this morning, we'll take a look at some of those trending national headlines that were brought to you at 7 o'clock, or any that that is catching your attention and then you want to bring them to the forefront. You're absolutely free to bring, but please note that it must be, from credible sources, and the stories must be verifiable as well, too. Nicholas joins us this morning as we begin the conversation for the week. Good morning to you, Nicholas.
Good morning.
You look sharp.
Well,
I like the colors on your clothes.
Yeah, well, it's Monday. I decided to do a native this morning.
It's good. It looks good on you.
Oh, thank
How was the weekend for you?
Fine. Yeah, fine. Yeah. Quara United lost by 1 goal to Bendel Insurance.
Disheartening.
It was disheartening. And one other very good thing I learned over the weekend, at least from Friday. On Friday, I think, about this new commissioner for police that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're having something new in Quara. We're talking somebody that has been there for since 4 CPs, he's understudied them. In fact, we had an encounter with him on Friday, and there were certain things, good news, that he shared with us. And I can tell Quarans that we are looking forward to better days in terms of security in Kwara State. It's quite,
Okay, it's a good one, and let's begin our conversation this morning. But please note that the views to be expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed by the analyst this morning, Nicholas Owerinoye. Let's get right into our conversation.
All right. Let's get into it. Just to inform you, we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube this morning, okay? And it's on FlowFM927.com, okay? All you have to do is go on YouTube or on Facebook and search for Flow FM 927, and voila, you're right there. You can get in on the live action happening in the studio right now. All right, let's take this story. It's, I think we talked about it on, was it Friday or on Thursday, about tertiary institutions and the student loan irregularities. And, the National Orientation Agency has uncovered alleged collusion between some Nigerian tertiary institutions and banks to exploit the student loan scheme by withholding and mismanaging disbursements. This was following reports of delayed or unacknowledged payments to students, and the NEL Fund, they are investigating and have warned that legal action will be taken against any institution found engaging in such practices.
Let me first and foremost say that I am not impressed by this disclosure by NEL Fund. You see, I think they left the gap for such kind of abuse, to happen. Because you see, I keep on, when you see things like this happen in Nigeria, the office, the people you put in this office, don't they know about the terrain they are walking in? Because you see, let me give you a very good example. When at the first coming of Okonjo-Iweala as finance minister, there was something novel she started, and which is this monthly allocation. She was the first minister on record to have started, a monthly publication of how much is sent to every state and local government. You give it to about 12 different newspapers. They publish it. It's always a book, a bumper kind of, it gives revenue to media houses, and again, it ensures transparency. You can track what is coming into your state. Now, you are talking of NEL Fund. We're talking of huge amount of money. The kind of system we run, especially with this TSC, being removed from the management of university system. So you need to create safeguards, when applications are made. You should create maybe either a website that if you don't want to patronize the media, you create a website where students on their own can track, So you can't just come up and pretend as if you didn't know things like this will happen. You understand? Yes, it's quite good, but you see, it will amount to nothing. It will amount to just blowing hot air. You know, at the end of the day, if you fail to even mention the names of the universities that are under suspicion, you know, unless you make examples of some of these erring institutions and banks, this thing will continue. In fact, at a point, they will come and even compromise officials of NAL fund. You know, so this is it's so disheartening, and I'm so sad that this can happen. Of course, we know what it's like, you know, for parents to, pay for higher institution these days. And now federal government has provided something, and they can't even manage it. No,
Again, what does it say about because you are very hard on appointments, the kind of people who are appointed to positions.
Yeah.
And all. Again, what does this say about the responsibility of NEL Fund? Is this do you regard this as incompetence as to the handling of this whole issue? And then what comes to mind is this money is meant for students to pay, for their education. Well, we've had in time past where pensioners, pay or benefits are being squandered, and then you have a situation like this. It should be highly investigated and condemned.
Thoroughly investigated.
Does it go beyond just words?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't, as a matter of fact. You see, again, it's the entire collapse of the university school system that we are seeing at play here. Now, ordinarily, if it were in those days, by this morning, there will be riot in major campuses, university campuses.
By students. That's a strong one, probably a protest or something.
Yeah, exactly. There will be protests, serious protests. You understand? In institutions, when things like about what do you see nuns do these days? Just looking for political, the things that are not relevant to scholarship whatsoever. You see them getting involved, making needless statements about. But this is what really affects them. I can bet it before the end of it, you won't hear anything from them. Nothing. Because you see that capture of both the university system, the student, the body of studentry, and even NUC, the capture is total. You understand? So even for NEL Fund to say this much, I can assure you there will be backlash in some quarters. That is how terrible things are. You understand? And I must give kudos to Malam Lanre Saunilu, because we are seeing something entirely different from what NOA used to do. I must give him kudos for coming out to make this pronouncement, because at least he has done his bit. That kind of statement should have come from NEL Fund itself. You understand? But the NOA is the one doing this. And, special commendation should be given to him for doing that.
All right, then. I want to ask this question for clarification, right? When we were talking about this conversation on Thursday or Friday, I'm not sure now, there was a statement where it was like the disbursements to students, the schools are, it's not reflecting on the students, on their account and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I think there's a plan after NEL Fund disburses these things, and then after school you're supposed to start your payment plan. So now, since it's not being reflected and they're still owing school fees, would it still be reflected? Would they still have to pay this money that allegedly the schools are withholding?
It's not as if the school will not pay the money eventually. Let me tell you what is happening. Let me tell you what the scheme is all about. The scam is all about. You see, NEL Fund disburses this money, and this is a huge amount of money. So what they do, what these institutions do, corrupt elements within the school do, is to collude with banks to warehouse the money. So when they warehouse the money, they can use the money to trade within a period of 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, while telling the students that your money hasn't arrived. We haven't seen your money. And things like that. Then, of course, they equally tweak the system in such a way it will not reflect, on the system that the money has come. You understand? So within that period, say like 3 months, do you know the kind of amount that something as much as 500 million will yield in terms of interest?
All right, let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
This
Good
is
morning to you.
Okay. This is the headline news and last analysis on Flow FM. What is your name and where are you calling from?
I am Mubarak.
All right, Mubarak, please go ahead with your contribution.
I need a song.
All right, we're discussing your trending national headlines right now. You can keep listening and then listening to the radio. If you do want to, you request a song. The official request hour is there. But for now, it's about some trending national headlines. And that's what we're reviewing. Okay. Thank you, Mubarak, for calling in. 0807 777 That number connects you directly. And of course, we're taking a look at some national trending stories. We're analyzing them with some Nicholas from Waranoya. And of course, you can join in the conversation as well. 0807 777 Let's move ahead.
So, that is what I think is
it's
happening
about,
there.
okay.
That is what it's all about. Now, again, you see, there is a very big danger here. You see, the moment you do it the first time, the second time, the third time, it becomes a practice.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And anybody that resists it, is crushed ruthlessly. Now, let me equally say this, that I think the biggest problem lies with the university system. It's the university that is big. The last time we were here, we talked about issues of funding.
Mm-hmm.
When masters, students even request for research grants from bodies from outside through the university, they hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? It has been a practice. And I did say that there are a couple of instances in this Kwara state. I just don't want to mention the name of the institution where we've had students come out and say, but out of fear, of being, victimized, they keep the information to themselves. And we keep on telling them that, look, if you don't talk, you understand, a lot of people are going to suffer. Mm-hmm. Let us name and shame. And that is what I keep on saying here. Name and shame. That is the first step. When you name and shame, you understand, even if there's going to be a backlash, they are going to be careful. Look at the case of that NYC young lady that came out, spoke openly about what happened.
Right.
You understand? There were attempts at intimidating her, but the whole Nigerians rallied around her. So we cannot continue like this because most of us, one way or the other, we are either parents now or will be parents. And the way things are going, the cost of schooling is getting higher. And this therefore might just be our salvation. Mm-hmm. So if we don't speak out now, so when we get to that place, that's not when we start talking.
Might end up being corrupt.
Exactly. We won't be able to even, take, our, the kind of schooling system that we were able to afford. We cannot afford that for our kids.
Okay. All right. If you want to make a comment, you can definitely text or send or call into the studio 0807 777 9927. Let's move into onto another conversation. This one has to do with the presidency. There was a report where U.S. court order was going to release fresh FBI records on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the presidency has responded to the U.S. court order directing the FBI to release the documents related to President Bola Tinubu, stating that there is nothing new in the reports.
Yeah, the presidency is right in that regard, that there is nothing new. But it doesn't mean that the content of that revelation is not alarming. Let us be clear about those issues. And that is what a lot of people have been trying to do. The politicians have been trying to do that. What's new about it? There is a lot involved in the sitting president being connected with drug money. It's a very big issue. So let nobody deceive you that there is nothing there. Is it because, at the end of the day, like I keep on saying, rottenness, in a fish starts from the head. The moment you have somebody that appears to have a question mark about his character, it says a lot about the kind of policy, the kind of people that will have a handle on him. Yes, it is not, because as a journalist, I know that issue has been there for almost 30 years. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, one of the first places where I cut my professional teeth, we had running issues about that. And there is equally a serving minister who was a serving minister right now who was mediating at that point, on that issue, trying to make explanations and things like that. So it's not as if it's not there. But you see, I think what Nigerians must understand, and I think it's something we have always known, has always been part of, but it's just that over the years, because of the strange kind of politics we are doing now, we have kind of lost touch with that reality that we used to have, and which is that, you see, the past will always come back, no matter what. We are not indicting anybody, but you see, that is why it pays to be very careful in whatever we do, because if you don't attempt to clear an issue, so to put an end to it clearly,
keep coming back.
It will keep on coming back. You see, I think that the president himself should have nipped this in the bud a very long time ago. When there was opportunity, he could have nipped it in the bud by publicly addressing the issue that this was why this happened and things like that. And all these things would have been a thing of the past. This is my own take about the matter. But as to this idea of just trying to say that there is nothing, there is something, there will always be something new there, because you see what the court said, ordered FBI and security agency to do is to release unredacted copies of the records they have on the president, and I think it's going to be damaging if at least I saw the redacted copies. I saw it. So when you unredact something, it means you are in black and white. Everybody will see what is happening. So Nigeria can then decide on their own.
But again, part of the report says, coming from Mbayo Ononuga, emphasized that the documents which are circulating publicly and have been, for over, 3 decades now, do not, implicate the president, as the court ordered followed a motion by a U.S. citizen.
That is quite strange coming from Bayo Nanuga, because, I did speak about 30 years ago, and the office where I worked at that time was side by side with them. Let me be more specific. I worked with a news magazine called Insider Weekly. Insider Weekly did that story, and I equally know that Tell did that story too. The only newspaper that refused to do that was the news magazine, and we all know why. So he coming out to say things like this, I think he should have allowed somebody else to say it, not him. You understand?
All right, away from that, let's move to this quite disturbing story in Katsina State, where a civil society group is demanding probe into alleged military sabotage in Katsina State. I recall that last week we had this conversation, where the governor of Borno State came out publicly, and then we had another governor, that's the Plateau State governor, Caleb Muftwang, also talking about in fact Caleb Muftwang went even deeper to say he believes it's a well orchestrated plan, and of course I'm seeing some of these communities. Yet again, we have another coming from Katsina State, where the civil society, the coalition of civil society organization in Katsina State, is calling for an urgent investigation into allegation of sabotage by some military personnel accused of frustrating efforts to end insecurity in the state. Now, the group's demand followed claims by a retired military officer who is now the commander of the Community Watch Corps in a local government in Katsina State.
You see, I'm not at all taking on a caught unawares with that kind of a disclosure from the CSO. And you see, this happens when an attrition sets into a campaign, to stymie insurgency, when it has festered for a very long time. Because you see, the wariness, exposes the personnel involved in fighting that war. It exposes them to being compromised. You understand? So, if what he's saying is true, let us first understand that the men of the Nigerian army are not angels. They are humans like us. You understand? And, that banditry couldn't have been successful if there are no local intelligence, people who know the terrain, who have some kind of sympathies and loyalties to them. And of course, like the CSO said, it's about money. You understand? So, you see, it further explains why that thing is not dying down. It's becoming lucrative for a lot of people, even for people who are even supposed to stymie it, who are supposed to fight it into non-existence. So that is what you are saying. That is why a situation, I was reading about a case in Delta State where the police command mounted, an operation that neutralized a kidnapping ring where 4 people were, engaged in a gun battle and they were killed. This syndicate of abductors, had committed a lot of havoc in Asaba and Delta State. But you see, they now traced the money. The leader of that person is an ordinary person that works in Onitsha. And we are talking of collecting money as much as 15 million from a medical doctor. So much money. But when you see this person, he looks so ordinary. So that is what I see. Most of the people who aid and abet this are local people. They might as well be their leader. You understand? So what is happening in Katsina is symptomatic of what happens when you have things like this happening anywhere in the world. So the thing is, at this stage, I think that the army and other security agencies need to rejig their operation module. You understand? The old system is because it's so stereotypical. That is why they can penetrate it and use it against people. And the man making this confession is talking out of frustration. Because you can, he sees the effort that is being made by the state government, but at the end of the day, nothing is coming out.
Well, the retired major did say that some soldiers are colluding with bandits to rob farmers of their harvest and profiting from ransom deals.
Yeah. You see, look, let me tell you, I am not surprised that things like that is happening. Look at oil bunkering, for instance. Do you know that at some point, armies, military officers lobby to be taken to Niger Delta because of that bunkering that happens there? Because they get involved there. Some of their personnel get involved there. So same thing happens with the insurgency. See, when you have things like this, you are going to have, out of, there will always be a bad apple in every bunch that you have. You understand? There will always be a Judas in every 12 disciple. So that is what you are seeing happening. You see, they see the amount of money that these bandits get from the farmers, and they get enticed. And of course, what the bandit needs is intelligence when the armies are coming. So definitely they can share them some of the money so that they can, so everybody will now be part of the same terrible operation.
All right, Nicholas, hold on. Let's take this call.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Danielle. Good morning, Dara.
Good morning to you. Go ahead. You have the floor.
It's Victoria.
All right.
So, Nicholas, I didn't think you had to start this crying and reminding us of the laws that we suffered yesterday. I was at the stadium and I was really heartbroken. I couldn't believe what is going on with this football club. They had a lot of chances and they just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Moving forward, what you say about the new commissioner of police, Kwara State? Honestly, I am not going to believe all this initial grab until I see his men stop at least harassing young men on the streets of Ilorin. When that happens, because I read a story online, one that happened again yesterday, around 8 p.m. So until that happens, whatever they are doing right now for me is just eye service. Until his men begin to do the appropriate. Now, coming down to the stories that you guys are starting with the Northbound. Northbound cannot say that they did not expect this is going to happen. We are in Nigeria for goodness sake. Everybody, from government to civil servants, is looking for ways to steal money, to siphon them. They cannot say that they couldn't put in measures to check an issue like this from happening. I wonder how they're going to fix it. For me, it only proves one of two things. Either they are very incompetent at their job, or they are competency in this fraud that's going on. That is honestly the way I see it. And down to the story about the redacted document about the president. First of all, what exactly are we expecting by Ononoga to say? He's going to always say things that would paint the president in the positive light, even if it is wrong. Right? He's being paid, he's hired and paid to paint the president positively. It's like in Kwara State, for example, you expect Rafi Ajakai and tell you that the governor did not do this. He will always paint the governor in the positive light. So we're waiting to see this document when they are released. And if they are released, then we all can now go through it and then see if this thing, because this whole drug thing is beginning to, it's crazy. Look at the situation with this, what's his name? Pablo Escobar. the whole drug thing, and then the country they made sure that they didn't allow him to get presidential power, even when he wanted to become president. And then if we have made the mistake, you know, documents come out, and we feel that we made the mistake of allowing somebody who has a drug past to be our leader, then we are in a much bigger mess.
All right. Thank you a lot, Zakara, for that, Sam. 0807 777 That's the number to call this morning to join the conversation.
I'm so happy that we'll have a soulmate in this Kwara United thing. I mean, it was heartbreaking. Yeah, it was, but well, it happens.
All right, let's move to another story, or maybe round off on the analysis this morning with this one, where Kwara youths are protesting with the crazy electricity bills in Umuaron. The youths in Umuaron, Kwara State, staged a peaceful protest against the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company over sudden and outrageous electricity bills following the reclassification of their area from Band C to Band A. They demanded a return to the previous billing regime, improved power supply, and replacement of faulty transformers, while community leaders and IBEDC officials are currently in discussions to resolve the issue, but nothing has been done yet.
Oh, well, definitely you should expect things like that, especially given the economic situation in the country. You know, the only thing I can say is that I think IBDC should be more responsive and, more sensitive about, the economic situation in the country right now. And we are talking of Umuaron. Umuaron is, in terms of economic activity, it's not, you can't compare it to Ilorin. So the kind of bills that you put there is going to definitely affect those people. It's going to, make situation worse for them. And honestly, I think that it's about time that the states...
All right, Nicholas, please hold your thoughts.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Headline News Analysis. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Jalingo calling from Ilorin.
All right, Jalingo, please go ahead with your comment.
Yes, I would like to disagree with a statement the analyst in the House mentioned earlier concerning that some of these military officers, they are human. Yes, we understand that they are human, but when you join the military, you are sworn to take an oath of integrity and so many other things. So I don't think we should align ourselves with the possibility that, yes, because they are human, we should take it. If it is the issue of the welfare of the military personnel, then we should address it from the head. Not that we will try to justify, some of these irregularities or criminal activities with the human nature. If all of us desire to display our human nature, I don't think there's going to be a conflict. So I would like the analysts to address that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Well, actually, I wasn't excusing their conduct. But you see, this is what normally happens. You see, I'm sure you agree with me that when you have about 10 people go out on an operation, you cannot absolutely say that 10 of you are going to be 100% committed. You understand? Then, of course, when you have a campaign that drags for a very long time, and trauma, all manners of psychological, depression happens, and before you know what's happening, you have your men being plucked off one after the other, either being compromised, if nothing is done to bring that campaign to an end. So that is what I'm saying. I'm just giving a kind of analysis of what could have happened, what could have made an average Nigerian army, a soldier man, who has sworn to defend his country to do things like that. It's not as if it doesn't happen. It happens. You understand? And I gave an example of, the instance you have in the Niger Delta that led, why the oil bunkering and all those things became intractable. You understand? So the moment you have anything lucrative and you bring in people, humans will always be humans. It's not about whether being a soldier or not. That is what I meant. It's not as if we are excusing them. If they are caught, of course, they should be punished. All
right.
Thank you so very much, Nicholas. That's the size of the program this morning. We're sure to return tomorrow, 8 to 8:30. Thank you for your time. The views expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed by the analysts this morning. Thank you so very much. My name is Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Here to light up the sea.